Yo,
Hello!
we're back. I'm playing Minecraft. Just like fucking exploring or whatever.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I'm watching you play Minecraft.
Watching you
What has
explore
my
or
life
whatever.
become? No, it's fun. Yeah.
I like doing this with water in Minecraft. Just kinda watching it just float away. But yeah,
It's really nice
we were talking
if you
about
have like a really big mountain and then there's water coming from one tile and it's going down the entire mountain. You can make
Ooh,
like
what's that? Is that bedrock?
yeah, that's obsidian.
No, it's bedrock, I think.
Do you have a diamond pickaxe?
Wait, I'm gonna see how it's minus 12. What kind of pickaxe do you need then?
Diamond.
I don't have diamond pickaxe. Well, I have diamond, so I can just go back here later.
Yeah.
I'll go make a diamond pickaxe. But yeah,
Diamond.
we were talking about RPGs.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed because I was downloading for Skyrim a quest mod, and I've never been a fan of the vanilla quests in Skyrim. But this quest was actually like it had characters that you had to get to know because it was like a detective story. You
Yeah.
gotta find the murderer or something.
Okay.
Gotta get to know the characters, and they had voices that actually made them seem like they were different from one another, and one was like angry and one was a little flirty and such, and it makes a big difference because when everything seems kind of the same, when the characters become too much of the same, like I think they become in the vanilla quest, it's just not very exciting.
Yeah. I think when it comes to a lot of fantasy, a lot of it just kind of decides to just follow the tropes.
Mm.
That's kind of like why people love Game of Thrones, right? Because it's not following the fantasy tropes.
Yeah, that's true. Just says fuck it, and then it kills characters and goes beyond what would normally be expected.
Yeah, and like the characters that you think are like heroes, right? They turn out to either like die or they get like majorly get like a major disadvantage in some way.
Mm.
I'm gonna save this spot here.
But that's kind of a thing again with the intelligent design, like how it's it's a smart series and it feels like it's mature because it actually feels like they're dealing with issues of power, like in this kingdom in the Game of Thrones world. If you don't have like friends, if you're not strong, like you're gonna get fucked. And like
Yeah,
if you people who do not like abide by the rules but play foul, they can gain an upper hand, but they can also be like they might die later. But I mean, it's like it's more nuanced than most series, and
yeah,
it's intelligent in that way. It feels more real and mature.
yeah. There was this weird like rumor thingy, oh, like this week or something that like Target, like the American like store chain, had like a page on their site that said Bethesda Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you first think about it, like, oh yeah, Bethesda made Skyrim, right?
Mm.
They should make like they would be great for a Game of Thrones game.
Mm.
Then you kind of think about it as like, no, like Skyrim is like the most tropey fantasy thing that exists, really.
Yeah, I didn't really find anything while playing the game. The most like out there thing that I found in Skyrim was that one of the characters probably had been raped by some dark devil lord. That was pretty out there.
Mm.
But I mean, other than that, everything is pretty standard,
Yeah.
it seems.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, and like the thing that makes Game of Thrones good is kind of the story.
Yeah. The
And
character. The character specifically.
yeah. And I don't know how you feel, but I don't feel that open world games like Skyrim and such, they don't treat the characters that well often.
Yeah. It gets so hard, especially when you have like a very branching game, you know.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. It's difficult to make character development that's really good, I think. Or like make the characters a big part of the story.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like everything is centered around you. But in
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, everything is not supposed to be centered around one character.
Yeah. Story is told from so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
Also, like big open world games often have the problem that there are too many characters and there are a lot of like one purpose characters.
Mm.
But like they're like, oh, do this quest or whatever.
And then they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
And also
not
like
good for Game of Thrones.
spending all the time and development and writing that would have to be done to make every character interesting enough. That's just not realistic.
No.
Like realistic in like a development, obviously, like realistic. So would obviously be a really realistic game, but the development process is not a realistic one. Too much work.
Yes.
Fuck, I can't find where I went up. It was somewhere along the coast. Let me see. I believe it was here somewhere. It was like over there. I don't know.
It would be interesting to see a Bethesda Game of Thrones game, but it's probably not gonna work if they make it like Skyrim.
Yeah, and also like the main reason I don't want to see a Bethesda Game of Thrones game is because we're especially like one made by Bethesda Game Studios specifically, is because their games are just extremely unfinished.
Yeah.
And what I always said, like from the first moment I saw like everyone was like crazy over like Skyrim and like Fallout, stuff like that, and I've always said like these games don't like I've said a lot of times I don't like jank in games, you know, like games that just don't feel finished. And I don't know, maybe that's because I grew up with Nintendo games, but I have I have a very low tolerance for a game that is not finished. That's kind of why I'm not playing like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or anything like that, because I'm just gonna wait until it's done and then try it. However, I'm very doubtful that it's gonna be more finished beyond this point. I feel like especially now when they have like development partners and all that stuff, like the game's probably gonna get rushed out the door because of like pressure from players and stuff like that. Like, why isn't the game finished yet? Blah 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 blah. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also I think that other developers like Ubisoft are probably gonna make a better game before they're even done with it. But yeah, Bethesda. Yeah, I don't know. And
Ah.
yeah, I was gonna get to this point, which is basically everyone kind of accepted it because the games were so big, right? Um,
Mm.
and then like games like The Witcher came out, games like Breath of the Wild came out, and everyone's like, "Huh, I guess it's possible to have these massive games that are not riddled with bugs and are not looking like PS2 games, and you know."
Mm. Yeah, The Witcher. I should play that game probably.
Yeah, it's a very RPG game, like very RPG heavy game. I
Mm.
enjoyed it when I played it, but I feel like I wouldn't enjoy it as much now. Um,
Mm.
I think a game that you should really play, and it's you can't because you sold your PS4, and that's Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
That game is amazing. It's a really good game. It's a game that manages to tell a story in an open world, and it works.
Mm. Is it a good story or is it a bland story?
It is a pretty good. It's a. I don't know. I mean, it's arguable that it's a good story, but it's definitely an interesting story.
Mm.
It takes some like very interesting twists and turns and
Because that's
stuff like
something
that.
I realized is I've always thought that gameplay is the most important, and gameplay is very important. But if the story is very bland, then it gets uninteresting fast too.
Yeah, the story in Horizon is great, and the gameplay is even better. Or not specifically the gameplay,
Mm.
but more specifically the enemy design.
Mm.
I don't know if I like basically you have these like giant like robots, right?
Yeah,
They're like all over
dinosaur
the world.
robots things.
Yeah, and um, they're all built basically with components, or they have like this like base structure, and then there are a bunch of components on top of them, and you can basically use different tools to like tear those components off of them,
Mm.
or like you can use ropes to make them fall over. You can tie them to the ground. You can do all these different things to kind of take them down and like damage them while they're down.
Mm.
Which makes the game really interesting, and it's kind of interesting in a way because you have Breath of the Wild, right, which is this game that's very like physics based and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but the combat itself is not really as based in physics and stuff like that, you know. It's like very traditional combat.
Mm.
I mean, you can use the runes and stuff to make very interesting combat scenarios. But like the combat, it's like the core combat itself. It's basically like another iteration of traditional Zelda combat,
Yeah.
um, which is fine. Like there's no problem with that. But the thing why Horizon is so interesting is that it takes like this really physics based systemized combat system
Mm.
and makes it like really interesting because you're using like ropes and stuff like that to tie the your enemies to the ground and things. You can take like a big storm bird and just tie it to the ground and it can't fly away. You can destroy the Stormbird's engines
Dude,
on their wings and they can't
was
fly
that
any
diamond?
longer. Yeah, it's diamond here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, yeah, that sounds really interesting with the combat. And I guess if the combat is good and the story is decent,
Yeah.
as well as there's one more important thing, and that is like the content of the world. Because in Skyward, no, not Skyward Sword, in Breath of the Wild, one of the things I think Nintendo succeeded in was making it fun to navigate the open areas,
Yeah, exactly.
and that is something I feel I've hard to see how it can be fun to navigate a game that is more realistic, like Dawn,
Horizon Zero Dawn, yeah.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
I think the game isn't at all as fun to navigate because you're basically just running or you get a mount and ride on that.
Yeah.
But like the world is a lot more fun to traverse in Zelda, especially because you have the
The flying thing.
the paraglider that allows you to just jump
That's
off a mountain.
that's like a genius move, I think.
Yeah, it allows you to climb a mountain and then just jump off it
Mm.
and just go in whatever direction. Actually, I don't need that. Yeah, and just you can climb a mountain and then like I'm just gonna go wherever this takes me, you know?
Yeah.
There's just a really freeing feeling.
I definitely want to play that game, Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Another thing that I realized when we talked about story and how Horizon Dawn had a decent story is that I understand one of the reasons why I actually like hate the Pokemon games nowadays is because the story is so fucking bland.
Yeah.
You always know what's gonna happen.
It's all, yeah, like even like they had the opportunity to have some really awesome twists in Sun and Moon,
Yeah.
but they just
But there's,
completely
like-
telegraphed it at the beginning.
There's hardly any character development, and it's just always the same thing. It's bad team, defeat bad team, get legendary Pokemon.
Yeah, and they were so close to actually break that convention in Sun and Moon. But the problem is the intro cutscene.
Yeah.
Like they have like Team Skull, which is like this very obvious bad team, right? But then they also have this Ether Foundation, which
Yeah.
they seem like they're good guys, but the problem is the intro cutscene with Lily just totally shows that there's something weird
They're
going
bad
on.
guys.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
bad guys after all, and they could have just cut that scene out completely, and the mystery with Lily would have been enhanced even as well.
Mm. Yeah, then you couldn't tell. You wouldn't know where the thing come from. You didn't know where if Lily had connections with the Aether Foundation.
Yeah.
It would
Like
have
the
been so
lead-
much better.
The lead up to Sun and Moon was way more interesting than the game itself, because like the moment, I don't remember if I noticed it myself or if there was like some kind of thread online that I read, but like the moment people realized that Gladion, Lily, and Lusamine had the same hair and eye colors, everyone was like, what the fuck's going on? Are these guys related?
Yeah, and that's cool. That
Yeah.
was fun. And then that's like the first thing you notice they tell you outright in the games. It's like, please don't tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's always one other thing also that I felt like since the last game that I actually think was finished is either 5th generation where Black and White or Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because in Heart Gold and Soul Silver you actually have a post game with the Battle Frontier and such. When they remade Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, even though Emerald had the Battle Frontier, they just removed that one. And in Pokemon Emerald you can catch both Groudon and Kyogre.
Yeah.
And it has a better story than Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So it feels like they rushed it so much that they actually made it worse. They had less content than the original remake, which is Emerald,
Yeah.
had. And it's like 10 years later, and they're actually making like a game with less content. That makes me like realize how little they care about the audience, and the game is just like, get another game out there.
Yeah,
It's
and it was so disappointing as well because the previous like remake, or like they're more like reimagining of the original games really,
Mm.
which was Heart Gold Soul Silver, is arguably one of the best games in the franchise.
Mm.
Like it's even better than Diamond and Pearl. Diamond and Pearl is like, if you do not count the remakes, Diamond and Pearl is probably my favorite game in the series.
Yeah,
Outside of
it's probably when Pokemon was at its best. I'd
yeah,
say.
like that's basically counting, like not counting the hundreds of uh like quality of life changes that were made in Sun and Moon.
Mm. Yeah, there's definitely issues with the combat systems and such,
Yeah.
and the HM and TMs in the older games. But still, I am still far more excited to think about those games than
Yeah.
the new ones.
I'm really excited to. I'm like cautiously optimistic when it comes to um the Switch game that they're making.
Mm.
Especially like when they first say like, oh, it's the next Pokemon RPG, and I'm like, I don't like RPGs.
Yeah, I really think that's also very annoying when you have to like level your Pokemon up to level 100 to do special things.
Yeah, like we've talked about what like they should Breath of the Wild the Pokemon. Like just imagine what would happen there, you know?
Mm.
And what I
You
mean
mean
by
like more freedom
yeah,
to
more
battle each gym?
yeah, more freedom. Like I would like to see a Pokemon game that doesn't have a leveling system.
Mm.
I don't know how it would work really.
Yeah,
But
but I can see that working probably.
yeah, like I would want to see like a completely open world Pokemon game, not a Pokemon game with like it's an open linear Pokemon game, you know, like Pokemon games are.
Mm.
Um, but I would like to see a true open world Pokemon game. I think the way you could do like getting stronger Pokemon and stuff like that, basically, um, you can have like a oh shit, fuck, I get really scared there.
Dude.
Um, but you can basically have like a forest, right? And there could be paths along through the forest. Basically, the deeper you get through into the forest, the more stronger Pokemon you have in there. I think that could work.
Yeah. You can just have the strength of Pokemon Berry, like you can begin with a Magikarp and you can end with like Rayquaza. So.
Yeah. And like even when it comes to just like legendary Pokemon, like I don't like that the legendary Pokemons are interweaved into the story.
Mm.
Like wouldn't it be so much cooler if you just like, and that's basically how it is with some legendary Pokemon, right? Like you just kind of stumble upon them when
Yeah,
you
that's really
when
cool.
you like go deep into a cave and you're like, holy shit, that's Mewtwo.
That's much more fun than it's the guy from the cover art.
Yeah, you know, like you're gonna
It's
see
the
him.
thing from the cover art.
Yeah.
Mm.
I would like to. I would like to see the next Pokemon game actually be called like something named after the colors again, and have like the starters on the packaging.
Mm. Yeah. I think I've been just continuously disappointed, so I don't think we can expect much from the
What
Pokemon
the
franchise.
fuck? I don't have my map. Holy shit! I've thrown out my map somewhere. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Fuck. Guess I'm gonna have to make a new map.
Oh
Oh
well.
well. Pokemon.
Yeah, but other things as well. It angers me when there's games with much potential
And they don't
and
catch up to the potential.
no,
Deliver on the potential.
and it just feels like games nowadays don't they're not as fun as they could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I can also be like jaded and like have played too many things.
I don't know. Like, I only think you can be like jaded if you think the new things aren't good because the old things were better. I think.
Mm.
I don't think you're really jaded if you don't think the new things Well, if,
are good.
good,
Yeah,
not
but
because the old things were better, but because there's something wrong from the ground up, you know.
mm,
Or like the old things, they're still doing the old thing, but it just doesn't work anymore.
yeah, it's
Something
time
like that.
for they just have to switch it up because when it's like we talked about this before because when you can predict what will happen and you see that your prediction is true, it means that you have nothing of value to learn from this experience.
Yeah.
If you can make a prediction and the prediction turns out to be untrue, then your brain will activate because it has to learn something. But otherwise it feels like I already have learned the lessons from this. So I
Yeah.
can just go to sleep now. And I hate it when I often play a game like you play Sonic Mania here because it kind of keeps my brain entertained,
Yeah.
but I don't necessarily enjoy it very much. And that's I think games should be enjoyed,
Yeah. And
not just
also,
played.
I think when people say like, "Oh, you're being too critical," my first reaction to that is you can't be too critical. Like it's not possible. I think if you're
Yeah.
oh shit.
Oh fuck! Can you get out of there,
Oh,
dude? That was so
Dude.
close.
Oh, finally I got out of there. Phew. Yeah, I think that's it for
Yeah.
this episode. Yeah, so we'll see you next time on Game Talk while playing Minecraft.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, bye.